Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by Kent Woodford. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall, and we have two co hosts with us this evening. Our first one is Nick. Nick, how's it going?
Pretty good, thank you. It's a good time for to be a sports fan. I got NHL playoffs getting ready to go. NBA basketball playoffs are coming up here. Going through the play-in tournament this week, and next week's the NFL draft. So it's a good
And
time to be a sports fan.
there are some good masters, and golf is back too. So there's a lot to like in the sporting world. And our next guest and a co-host is he's got the flurry, he's got the Goudreau, he's got a bit of a smile, but a bit of a frown because that is a good night for the Flames, but the fact that they're not going to play some playoff hockey is the unfortunate part. But we got Philip Stockley in the wheel. Philip, how's it going?
All things considered, doing pretty good, man. Yeah, little bummed out about the Flames. They won out. They did what they needed to do, but unfortunately, we couldn't get any help on the out of town scoreboard the other night. So, but you know what? Playoffs for this group would have just been bonus. So, proud of their season, proud of how they played, and I think all those guys should be too. Tonight's game is just a testament of how lucky we're going to be to watch this team in the future. What do you think, Bosco?
Yeah, if they win, if they, it's so tough, man. And we were just talking about it before we hit record, but if they just closed that game out in Anaheim, they're up 3-1. They're in the playoffs tonight, and they are playing Vegas or Winnipeg, whatever it is, but probably would have been Vegas, but or sorry, Winnipeg. They would have been playing Winnipeg, and another all Canadian matchup. It's just so unfortunate, man. It's just so heartbreaking because the year these guys had, and anyone that watches the game, you could see, and then just the odd time that we got to be at the rink and privileged to be part of that stuff, you see it firsthand and you're just crushed. And I'm an emotional guy, as everyone knows that knows me. If you don't know me, I am emotional. So, and yeah, when they lost that the other night and or won the other
They
night,
they didn't lose though.
sorry, when they won, but they lost out in making the playoffs, it was emotional. It's hard not to have some tears and then talking to some players. And yeah, it's just tough because they did everything they could and more, right? So, and that,
Well, what was it at Christmas time? Maybe after Christmas. What did they say? 91 points should get you
yeah.
in
And
the West.
they're sitting here with 96. And Connie just said, he's like, if we were to have 96 points and be in the mix, I'd say we made the playoffs. But
Well, he said he wouldn't believe you either, right? So,
yeah, or that too. Yeah. But I don't know, just unfortunate. And you look at the East, like that gets them into the playoffs. Montreal had what 90 points. So it's just the West is the West for a reason. It's the hardest conference in my opinion.
the wild, wild West.
But yeah, we're here to do our playoff preview, and our predictions. So we won't really go too long. Like we are kind of a Flames, Oilers, Alberta podcast. We try to cover some other teams. Nick's team is the Flyers, so we're going to get into a lot of stuff throughout the next few months and leading into the draft and getting some opinions. But it is late, and we don't want to stay up too longer than it already is. We're all old people here, and we all have things to do in the morning, but we will run through our predictions and see how that goes. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of intriguing matchups for sure. But yeah, you got to do some stick taps for pretty much five. You had five NHL debuts in this game, four on the Flames, one on the Kings, and three of the five scored their first NHL goals in tonight's telecast on Sportsnet. And today was a sad day too. Greg Millen's funeral was today, and I kind of really haven't said too much. I'm just trying to find the words, and we'll open up kind of that and just giving a good story. And I'm kind of putting the guys on the spot, but yeah, it was about 4 weeks ago. I got to share dinner in the media room, the Ed Whalen media room, with Greg Millen. Literally sat right next to him, and someone that I've watched for 30 plus years. I'm 40 and pretty much been watching hockey since I was 10, and watching him on TV and then being able to be in a media room and all that was pretty special. And he's going to be missed. He shares a lot of great memories for a lot of people, Megan Mickelson did a great job in his shoes today, and but Greg will be a hard person to replace on the broadcast and just everything he's done for the game and 14 years in the NHL, over 200 wins. Like this guy did it all and did a great job with it too. Phil, I know you listened to him a lot on the Flames telecast and whatnot. I just want to give your thoughts of what you loved and what we're going to miss from the Greg Millen memory bank here.
Yeah, just one memory for me that sticks out with Greg Millen is the Gaudreau overtime goal against Dallas to win that series, and the way he broke it down after with the crowd going crazy. And yeah, he's just another one of those voices, like you grew up with him in your living room, right? So yeah, definitely shocking when I heard that he had passed, and really sad and really unfortunate, and we're really gonna miss out on some of those great calls. So
Yeah. Nick, well said there. Nick, your thoughts on kind of what you would have saw from Greg and heard from him too.
You know what? I always really appreciated Greg Millen on broadcasts. Probably the best compliment I can give him is that I watch most of the games on mute, because I don't really like listening to the broadcasters all that much, but I always listen to his games when he was calling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's maybe a good transition into what we're going to see here in the playoffs. But yeah, it's going to be.
that's high. That's high. That's high compliments coming from Nick.
Oh, it
It
is.
is because I literally mute 90% of the games.
Yeah. It's there's always that thing if you can get the games just the audio and like the boards, the puck, the ice, all that. You know.
There was a couple of times where I think it was this was years ago when the French broadcasters were on strike and they had the French games on, and it was just the inside of the rink, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's yeah, just amazing to have that aspect. But yeah, and in terms of it, I know this isn't probably the best transition, but we will miss Greg, and he is a living legend in his own right, and the pranks and the great stories that will be had and will be shared forever. And a lot of the guests that we've had on shared a lot of great memories with him. And I was so timid. I was like, yeah, I'd love to interview this guy, but I'm like, do I do it? Do I ask him? Do I ask him for his phone number? And I kind of regret doing that because it probably would have had a good interview with him to go back to. But we'll chat one day, Greg. We miss you. We love you. And we're thinking of your family and all the colleagues, your teammates, and everyone at the broadcasting center. Who had great memories. But we'll move over to some NHL stuff sponsored by Boston Pizza. You guys can go to Boston Pizza. You can get a meal for under $15, just around $15. In and out in 20 minutes at Boston Pizza. Something to chew on at Boston Pizza Canada. So thanks for them for sponsoring us. They are with us until the end of the hockey season. So we've had them joining us since November. So appreciate them sponsoring us here, and they've helped give back to our minor hockey program. And also, we have a new little promotion that we're giving. We're going to give away 4 tickets, so 2 sets of tickets to the Oilers' first game, Game 3 of the LA Kings series. So we've seen some traction on that on social media. So if you haven't heard or listened to that or seen it, and you're just getting the first taste of it now, if you follow 3 out of the 5 social media accounts that we have and share that post or retweet it, you'll enter yourself into the draw. And a week from today, I believe it is, we'll have the 2 winners. We'll announce it here on the podcast, and looking forward to that. And the playoffs will start on Saturday. I guess I want to give your this before we get into the picks. I'm kind of intrigued by this, but I guess I shouldn't be because Sportsnet's done this a lot with, Craig Simpson and Chris Cupford and whatnot, where they always cover the Leaf games, but we always know the Leafs only get eliminated in the first round. But I was I knew this was coming. Jack, Gene, and Louie were always going to cover the Oiler games, but I'm glad at least that you can get some of the USA broadcasts. Like, hey, Jack's been on this podcast, Gene's been on several times and all that. Louis has not been on it, although I did run into Louis the other day. But I hate saying this. I know I'm going to take some flack. I can't listen to that broadcast during the playoffs. It's gonna be tough. You know, I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know if you guys want to chime in on any of that, but I just think that's just
No comment over here.
yeah, exactly. I'll say it, but it's going to be tough. Like I know Oiler fans have been dying for it. They've been waiting for that forever. Hey, it's not new. Louis done them all the time, but this is Jack. But I just it's weird. Like Sportsnet's another 12 years. Um, and even the people inside their own company, they don't think they have the best talent either in terms of what breaking down games and calling games. And I guess you know, you talk to some people at the rink and whatnot, but I just think it's going to be tough. Like I don't know how that's going to go. I guess there's a taste you could watch it, but we see it all the time. Like Jack is he works for the Oilers, so he's going to be on the Sportsnet side, but it's when you work for the Oilers, you're cheering for the Oilers, so it's going to be tough. But I guess it's not anything new than you would have. Like it's not like Chris Cufford or Craig Simpson worked for the Leafs, but literally Jack Michaels is an OEG employee. Um, so I wonder how that's going to work out in terms of the playoffs, and if the Kings are up or is there calls like we always hear that stuff where the Oilers up 5-0 and the Oilers are running the Kings out of the building. Like, if that happens in that series, does he do that? I don't know. You know, it's because you're catering to a national audience, is what I'm trying to say. Nick, is there anything you want to chime in on this, or is it just kind of no comment as well too?
You know what?
Mute button, right, Nick?
Well, yeah, that's tip number one. But honestly, I really actually have an issue with regional guys doing the broadcast of the playoffs. Because these games really are their national broadcasts, right? The NHL schedules these games so that they can have, double headers every time, so that there's no real overlap unless the game goes into overtime. And I'm not a fan of the regional
No,
broadcasters doing
hang on.
playoff games.
Let's say it right here. Let's say it right.
I don't think that came through.
I don't think it came through, which is probably a good thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's no, I agree. Like, but and that's and like Sportsnet when they got into this first deal, they obviously it was a lot of money that they put into, and then they were trying to recoup a lot of that money. So unfortunately, they had to lay some people off because they were full national. It was national, regional, national, regional. So if you always had, and that was when they had Jim there, and then because Jim did the first game, and CC did the night game, and
Yeah.
time you ever heard them. You heard them on Saturday nights on the first game in the early game and the late game, and then it changed dramatically. It was weird because, like, for the longest time, actually, Greg Millen and John Bartlett did the Leafs games on Sportsnet, the regionals. So you only ever heard John Bartlett and Greg Millen during the Leafs regionals, and you never heard CC or Simpson besides if you were watching Hockey Night in Canada. And obviously, Chris Cufford was with Hockey Night in Canada, then went to TSN, and then came back, and then got his first Stanley Cup winning call when the Lightning beat the Canadians. And that's kind of where it changed, was that year, that COVID year. And it's unfortunate in a way, I think, for hockey fans, because I'm just saying, like, not every single person is an Oilers fan. So say if you're just a casual hockey fan and you're whatever Flames, or even if you're a Jets fan, you just finished watching that game, like besides an Oilers fan, and you get that broadcast, you know going in it's a homer broadcast. It just not to be rude by saying it, it is. I wonder what other people would think. I was gonna put it on social media, but you're gonna get flack, and these guys follow us, and maybe they'll hear this and say it too. I did text Cam Moon because this is Cam Moon's first time calling playoff hockey games, so I appreciate the good side of that is that he gets to call the games, and he's been on our podcast before, but
Mooner's a legend.
He is. So, since he's been with the Oilers, he's never called one playoff game. So this will be the first time that he gets to do it. So, because Jack always went right into the broadcast booth during the playoffs, and they had a revolving door of play-by-play guys and whatnot for the Oilers, and then obviously, I don't know. It'll be interesting. The good thing is you kind of looked at it today. You can get the USA broadcast. You'll get TNT. You'll get Sportsnet or ESPN. So if you really want, you could cater to that, jump over there to listen to the game. And that's probably what I'll do. I do like the intermissions for Hockey Night Canada, because like obviously Ron and Kelly Elliot are friends of the pod, and BX is really good too. So, just jump back there in the intermissions. But during the game, I will be listening to TNT or ESPN. I'll just openly say that. Phil, I know you won't say anything because you're the professional one here on the podcast. I have to be the controversial one here and throw it out.
Well, you guys did miss what I did. I was doing a Jack Michaels impression.
Oh, you're
It's a real shame the mic cut out then.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Nick just muted me.
At the same time. I did it too. So anyways, all right, let's move over to our predictions. Let's start out east because we're west. We'll finish up with the Western Conference. So we're gonna run through the first round of the series, and then we're just gonna go right to the conference final and then right to the Stanley Cup final. So we'll start out east. It's the obvious. Phil, you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? How do you want to do it?
Doesn't matter, buddy.
All right, you go first. So we're gonna go Leafs versus the Sens. They played each other 3 times this year. The Sens won that swept them. First game was 3-0, then 2-1, and then 4-2. So the Sens went 3-0 in the season series against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Where are you at? Who are you liking in this series, Phil?
I think playoff experience is going to be a factor in this series. So I'm just going to simply say I think the Leafs are going to do this in 6 games.
Okay. All right. I'll go next. I agree with you there. I kind of have the same thing. I think it's 6. I think Ottawa gets a few in this one, but I just think experience and what the Leafs will look like and how they can be in a Berube team. There's a very big possible for an upset here, but I as a Leaf fan, as openly, I am cheering them on and hoping if they're not, this will be a disaster and there'll be a huge shakeup in an organization if they don't pull this off. But I would say yes. I definitely see the Leafs. Nick, who do you got in this one?
So I gotta say, this is probably the series I'm the most looking forward to. I'm really excited to watch this one. Huge rivalry. I like Toronto's additions, Carlo at the deadline and getting Tanev last summer. I'm going Toronto in 6.
6K. All right, so that's what we got there. I don't have a pen. Phil, do you have a pen around you to write these down? Because we'll write them.
I'll just put some notes on my phone so you can keep talking. We all had Toronto in 6, right?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, keep them on your phone, and then because I'll make them public here after we can go there. All right, let's move over to another series. I think that'll be really good. Nick, we'll go to you around this, so we'll just kind of snake this out. So we got the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. So they played each other 4 times this year, and the Florida Panthers went 3-1. So the first game they won 4-2, 4-0, 2-1, and then they lost the last one in the series 5-1. It was a kind of a bloodbath in that one as well too. But a lot of question marks and who's going to be in and out, especially on the Florida Panthers side. Ekblad will miss the first 2 games of the series, and then he'll be available for game 3. What happens with Matthew Tkachuk? Is he back? Is he not back? But Nick, who do you have in this series in the Battle of Florida?
So for me, even though there's some question marks with Florida with Tkachuk and Ekblad, I'm taking them in 6.
6. Okay, perfect. All right, and I'll go next. I think the Lightning win this in 7. That is my guess. I think the Lightning pull this one off, and I guess maybe it's an upset or not. I do think they are the best team out east, though, in a way. So it's going to be hard to with some of their guys that they've gotten back in McDonough and Yanni Gord. I think this will be a good one. And Vasilevsky, unreal. Phil?
Hang on, I'm just keeping a. Nick said Florida in 6,
Yes.
I got Lightning.
and
I got Lightning in 7. Ken always.
I'm not going to bet against the Stanley Cup champs. So I am also going to just say Kachuk will be back. I think all the miraculous healings are going to happen in the NHL now. Everyone's going to come back from injury and be ready to rock and roll. So I am also going to say Florida in 6.
All righty. Interesting. All right. So, Phil, we're going to throw right back to you here whenever you're free, but we will have the Montreal Canadiens versus the Washington Capitals. The Canadiens get in. They played each other 3 times this year, and the Canadiens did not win the season series. It was a 6-3 win for Washington, a 4-2 win for Washington, and a 3-2 win for Washington. Phil, who do you have in this series?
You look at Alex Ovechkin, you look at his season, you look what he did this year, breaking Gretzky's record after breaking his leg this year. When people were wondering if he would do it, when people were like, I remember people at the beginning of this season saying, "Will he even do it?" And he did it. So I personally, I'm not gonna bet against Alex Ovechkin. I say the Montreal Canadiens will get one win for their faithful home fans, and it's going to be Washington in five.
Washington in 5. Interesting. Interesting. All right. I got the Caps in 7. They've been leaking a bit, but the Habs could be a bit of a dangerous team here. Mitch Love, assistant coach, definitely got to go with him. He's a friend of the pod. But I say the Caps in 7. All right. Nick, you are up next.
I got, just like Phil, I got Washington in 5.
Washington 5. All right. Some easy work with the Caps. Knowing they're coming in, leaking some goals here, they will be coming in to win this series in 5 on that end. All right. So we'll move over
Did
to.
you peek at my notes, Nick?
No, I'm looking at my notes that are in an unsaved Word document on my computer.
All right. Well, we're hoping to have in the this series, we're hoping to have Brennan Dillon on. We'll see how that goes. He's been in touch with us, but we'll see. He did say he would either join us before the series would start or it would be after the playoffs are over. So we'll see what happens. But he is on the New Jersey Devils, so friend of the pod, from Dylan. But the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. The Carolina Hurricanes are 1-6-1 in their last 8 games going into the playoffs. So they are not firing at all cylinders here, but we'll see how that goes. And these guys shared, they were 2-2 in the season series. The Canes won the first game 4-2, and then the Devils won 4-2, and then the Devils won again 4-2. And the last game that they played in the season series, the Carolina Hurricanes won 5-2. So somewhat of an even matchup. There's some key players missing here. No Hughes, but Hamilton came back. So there's some little bit injuries to keep an eye on, as every series almost has one. But Nick, who do you have in this series?
I am going with, well, I guess the betting odds are heavy favorites for Carolina, but I'm going with the New Jersey Devils in 7 games.
Alrighty.
I like their goaltending better.
I agree with you on that one. I'm going the Devils in 6. I do think Sheldon Keefe gets his second win in the first round, and so definitely going there. And it is interesting. We have Jordan Martin, a friend of the pod, on the Carolina Hurricanes too. But so you got a couple friends there on that side of this equation. But we'll see how that goes. I do got the Devils coming through, and I just think it's their kind of year. They've been going pretty good, and I think the way the Carolina Hurricanes are rolling in the playoffs isn't good at all. Phil, who do you have?
Very familiar with playoff Jacob Markstrom, so I don't really believe in him. I know Nick just said he likes their goaltending. I also love regular season Jacob Markstrom too. I think he's gonna have the team ready to go. Brendan Moore is gonna have Carolina ready to go. They're gonna take this in 7 games.
7 games. All right, you got them in 7. All righty. Okay. So let's move over to the Western Conference. And we have the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. We have the Shen brothers facing off against each other here. So we'll see how this will go. This will be an interesting one. Here, they played each other 4 times this year, and Winnipeg went 3-1 in the season series. Blues are pretty much they're rolling. They got some injuries. We'll see what Holloway is. It looks like Ehlers will be out. He's out week to week, so he might not even be available for the series. If anything, he might be available sometime after Game 4 if it gets that far. But it does not look like he'll be starting. So some key injuries on both sides up front. Neil Pionk signed a contract extension today. Alex Follow signed the other day. So the Jets getting some contracts done. And hey, people said that some people don't want to play in Winnipeg. Well, looks like they do. They do got a good thing going on there. Phil, who do you have?
I think this is my only underdog that I'm kind of going with St. Louis here. I don't know, is St. Louis even really an underdog anymore with the way they ended the season? They might not be, but yeah, I like the way they're playing right now. They're playing strong. They look like a really happy team. They look like they're getting along really good as a team, and lots of shades of their Stanley Cup winning team. So I am going with St. Louis in 6 games.
Oh, 6 games, an upset. Again, the President's Trophy out in the first round, according to Philip Stockley. All right, that will not be good at all. If that is the case, I got the Winnipeg Jets winning this in 7. I think it's a battle. I think we're going to see a lot of game sevens in this round, first round, and they a home ice usually like does matter in the first round. It has not mattered much in rounds 2, 3, and 4, but rounds 1 it definitely plays a big factor in things, and I do think the Jets fans, the whiteout will be going loud and proud, but it'll be a 7 game series, which is great for hockey and the NHL. Nick, you're up.
So I think St. Louis is going to give Winnipeg all they can handle, but I believe that Winnipeg will win this in 7 games.
Yeah, yeah. This will be a good one. This will be a real good one to see. There's some real interesting ones here. All right, Nick, we're moving over to the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. Gabriel Landeskog is coming back. You have Mikko Rantanen playing his former team. The Stars have home ice, but they're limping in. We just had Vernon Fiddler on. It was a good interview, but you cannot shake the fact that they're limping in. Robinson, according to a reporter in Nashville, left the rink in a walking and a knee brace on his right knee, so that's not good if he's not available. They're already going to be without Heiskanen. So it's 2 big guys, one guy on the back end, one guy up front. Ottinger leaked up some goals, got pulled in his last start. So that's not good either, but hopefully he can dial it in. And then Colorado rested a lot of guys coming down the stretch. Nathan McKinnon said, I don't care about getting the most points. It's all about the Stanley Cup. He took himself out of the equation. Kucherov wins that. It'll be good here, but it's Colorado won the season series. They played each other 3 times. But Nick, who do you have here?
I have Colorado in 7.
All right. Is there anything that's intriguing about this series to you? Because this seems to be the most appealing series out of all of them. What's the storyline? What is something that you're looking forward to? There's some interesting ones with Landeskog, but what's your X factor? What are you looking forward to in this series?
For me, I'm looking to see if Dallas's depth can actually overcome, in a 7 game series, the loss of Robertson for however long he's out for, and Heiskanen. I think Thomas Harley is a very, very good defenseman, but they need both of those guys, and I'm interested to see if their depth can actually carry them, and I'm interested to see if Rantanen can really get going. They're going to really need him to, probably be the best player on the ice in this series. Otherwise, I don't think they're gonna. Like I said, I have Colorado in 7. I'm interested to see how Dallas really comes to the rink and if they're ready to go.
Yeah, and Sam Gerard, friend of the pod, Matt Duchesne, friend of the pod on the side there. So we'll see how they shape up against each other. And obviously, got Duchesne going back to Colorado too. I have the Stars in 7 in this one. It's a tough one to say, but I'm hoping that they pull it through. Pete DeBoer, he definitely is deserving, and Steve Spott deserving of a Stanley Cup. These are 2 great coaches. Elaine Nazardine there too, but I do think the Stars prevail in this one. I wonder if it's going to be the goaltending matchup is what the most intriguing storyline is going to be. If that's where it all shapes up, is something going on with Ottinger that we don't know, and could Mackenzie Blackwood, now that he's on the brightest stage of them all, can he shine? As one of Canada's top goaltenders. Phil, who do you have in this series?
I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to be riding that emotional high, getting their captain back after 2 years of is it 2 years or three?
3 years, buddy.
3? Geez, where's the time go, eh? It's crazy. Anyways, yeah, I think they're gonna be riding an emotional high. Last time Landeskog played, what happened?
Won a Stanley Cup.
Won a Stanley Cup, and what a way to come back. So I'm going Colorado in 6 games.
6 games. All righty. That is going to be a fun one. All right, let's move over to the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wild. Vegas Vegas swept the season series in this one, so pretty convincing season series matchup that they had here. Minnesota, got a lot of question marks going into. Weren't playing as a lot of consistent hockey, but they do play hard. They do play fast and they do play physical. But the Vegas Golden Knights have the biggest and strongest team and probably one of the most quickest teams, and they're well balanced. They have only one forward on the Vegas Golden Knights that doesn't have 10 goals or more, and that is William Karlsson. And we know that Wild Bill can get going at any time, and maybe in the playoffs, that is it. Phil, who do you have?
I think Vegas swept the season series. I think they're gonna sweep this series as well. I'm going Vegas in 4.
Four. All right, that would be. I got Vegas in 5 in this one. I think I'll be surprised if it goes longer than that, but they are rolling. They rested some players too, and I just think that depth that we were talking about earlier there will prevail. Nick, who do you have?
I got Vegas in 5. I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're good, good, and the McCrimmon family. All right, let's move over to the Edmonton Oilers versus the Los Angeles Kings. LA won this season series 3-1. They've been kind of at the 4th year in a row here. LA's been really good at home. I think tonight's their 5th loss at home. Typically, they're good on the road in the playoffs and really good at home on the road against Edmonton too. So there's so many question marks here. Connor McDavid playing coy with the media, pretty much saying everyone's healthy. Don't believe everything you're reading or you're hearing. Ekholm, will he be back? I did see a report today that Jake Waldman will not be available for game one. So we'll see if that is true or not. I believe Jason Gregor had that report. So they're definitely going to be without Ekholm. Could they be without Jake Waldman come game one? But Evander Kane is available for game one. I got that news today. Not really breaking that. I think that's already been out there, but Evander Kane will be game one, ready for there. Trent Frederick will not be available from the sounds of it, but he is trending in a good direction. And then obviously the rest of the guys will be good to go, and we'll see how it goes. Goaltending is a big question mark for the Oilers here, but I do think with that Cole out, that is a big X factor. Nick, who do you have in this series?
I mean, there's a lot to like about LA, but I can't bet against McDavid and Draisaitl. I got Edmonton in 6.
6. All right. So you do think that is an interesting. I got the Kings in 7 here. See how it goes, but I do think the Kings finally get it going. It's hard to beat a team 4 years in a row. And if the Oilers do tip their cap, they deserve everything that's coming their way. And that would be a Stanley Cup if they can get through this, because this will be a tough matchup for them, knowing how LA's played this year and is ready to go. Phil, who do you have?
Yeah, I don't feel the Oilers have been very consistent, so they could come in and prove me wrong. But I am 4 years in a row, I don't think so. The LA Kings will exercise the demons and beat the Oilers in 7 games.
All righty. All righty. Okay, so let's move over to the conference final for the Eastern Conference. We'll go snake back over there. Phil, who do you have in the Eastern Conference final? So you obviously have, you had what you had coming out of the first round, but who do you have going?
I had Toronto in Florida.
That can't happen.
Or sorry, Toronto. I picked Toronto, Florida, Washington. Sorry, I'm trying to look at my notes here. I picked Toronto,
So
Florida, Washington, and Carolina. So what would the matchups be?
So you would have Toronto going to the second round, and one of the Florida teams obviously going to the second round, but you would have to pick one of the 4 teams out of Washington, Montreal, New Jersey, or Carolina.
Washington.
So you got Washington going to the conference final against
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's who I got.
That's who you got. Okay. All right. I got the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the New Jersey Devils in the conference final. All right. And who do you have, Nick?
I have
Sorry,
the
who did
defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers and the Washington Capitals in the Eastern Conference Final.
All righty. Nice. Nice. Okay.
hang on, hang on. I'm trying to write this down. Who did you have, Bosco?
I had the Devils and the Leafs. So Sheldon Keefe versus former team.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Nick had Florida.
And Washington.
Don't worry, Phil. I made that mistake last year and I got crucified on the podcast. So,
Oh, that's okay. I can get crucified.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I made that stupid mistake. I think I did it with Stauffer, which was even worse. Yeah.
No, it's because I'm trying to write and I'm trying to type and I don't even know what's going on. So
I know. I gotcha. Sorry, buddy.
you got me being secretary for the 2 months too tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm reading off that. You're reading off this, and there's a lot.
Put a mini skirt on me, eh?
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. All right, Phil. We're gonna. I guess we'll go to Nick. Nick led
Yeah, so I can copy him and not sound stupid.
exactly. Okay, we'll go back to Nick for the Western Conference, and who is in the Western Conference Final for you, Nick?
My Western Conference Final has Colorado taking on the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby, for sure. All right. That will be a good one if it gets there, but I don't know. So nothing wrong with your picks on that one. So that's a tough one. I was racing with. I definitely got the Vegas Golden Knights to the conference final. And man, it's tough. It's a toss between Winnipeg and Dallas. And I'm gonna say Winnipeg. Yeah, it's weird because like what I just said about Dallas, you want Pete DeBoer, but I don't know. The Jets have just been rolling all year, and they're well balanced. So I definitely got the Winnipeg Jets versus the Vegas Golden Knights at a final there, Western Conference final. Phil, who do you have?
I'll go Colorado versus LA.
Colorado versus LA. All right,
Can that happen?
that can happen, buddy. You're ding ding ding. It can definitely happen. All right, so who, Nick? All right, Phil, are you ready for your Stanley Cup winners, or
Yep.
Stanley Cup winner?
who do you have winning the Stanley Cup?
Gabe Landeskog is going to grab that cup and he's going to lift it for the Colorado Avalanche.
All righty, okay, you got them, and I got the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm saying it's 30. I know why? Because Hockey Illuminati posted a good tweet. He's like, the last time the Boston Bruins and the Detroit Red Wings did not make the playoffs was in 1967, and the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup.
There you go.
I'm going with that as my pick. And Phil, sorry, Nick, who you got?
I also have the Colorado Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Really? Wow, that's gonna be good. So it is fun. It all starts on Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada on Rogers Sportsnet. And yeah, it's going to be a doozy. It will be a doozy. And obviously, yeah, you can find it on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and TNT throughout the way, even on ABC as well. So there's a lot of intriguing matchups to kind of keep an eye on. And we'll see how it goes. There's some great hockey to be had. It's the funnest time of the year. Round one is usually the wildest and funnest. Bill, you have anything to add before we sign out?
Yeah, we got hockey every night coming up here. And Nick, you were talking about the schedule, how you thought it was kind of weird, hey?
Well, I just like in the past, they've always usually been, especially in the first round, like they would have a game at 5 and then 5:30 and then 8 and then 8:30. And you could, each day there was 4 games, and now it's, there's 2 games on Saturday. And then I think one series doesn't start till Tuesday. And it's a weird schedule compared to previous years for the first round. Cause usually you just get like 4 games a night and that's, your head's exploding because it's so awesome.
Yeah, that's weird. Like a couple teams are going into game 3 before Florida even starts game 1.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they do that, because it's like, so then you're going to have a team that could finish the series early, get 7 days rest, 10 days rest, and then say the Florida teams, fight. I don't know. It is weird. A lot of it is obviously a building availability. I know the Vegas series was delayed to start because they got home ice, but the WWE WrestleMania is there this weekend. So
Yeah.
WrestleMania is not at T-Mobile Arena, but I believe SmackDown is there tomorrow night, and then there's SmackDown, there's the WWE Hall of Fame, and then Monday Night Raw is in there. So they pretty much took the arena away for the weekend. So that's the unfortunate part. But they're obviously playing at the football stadium there for WrestleMania. But yeah, it's so there's just stuff like that. I was surprised the LA series is going to start. The Oilers decided to stay in California, which makes sense, turning that they're already there. They were in San Jose today, so I think they'll make their way to Los Angeles here once the Flames fly home. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird how it kind of all shapes out and looks. But the one thing I'm happy, I know a lot in the past between, because how busy the crypto.com arena is, there was a lot of times with the LA Oilers series that there was game 2 days off, game 2 days off, and it doesn't look like that's the case. So maybe with the Clippers getting their own arena kind of helped that out too. But anyways, we'll see how it goes. It should be fun. There could be some upsets. I know maybe we didn't pick any. I'm definitely not sleeping on Ottawa. They can definitely do it. They're definitely going in with not a lot of experience, but they have a captain who's been itching to go for the last 8 years in the playoffs, and Toronto has no answer to what Brady Tkachuk could do. No answer. Like, you could say Ryan Reeves is that guy, but he's not the equivalent. That's a first line guy versus a fourth line guy. And the Sens will take that matchup every day of the week if he gets in the lineup. I don't know if he will. He's with the Marlies right now, but so it's even tougher guys in the American Hockey League. But we'll see how it shapes up. Toronto's history, Stolar's been lights out for the last 2 years in the regular season. He's not had a playoff start until Sunday, and then what happens in net with the Oilers? In terms of the Canadian theme, do the Canadians go in, with house money and no pressure, and surprise, a Washington Capitals team that has been limping and leaking some goals going in, and what happens
And that Bell Center is going to be crazy, man.
if they could get a split in Washington and come back 1-1? That 22,000 in the Bell Center is going to be interesting. So, Nick, you want to add anything before we sign out? Is anything kind of just intriguing to you here?
You know what? I this like everybody like I know not everybody, but a lot of people complain about the playoff format. But I mean, there's a ton of like I would say almost every series here is going to be really, really good. Um, and the one thing about Montreal, they're now that they're back in the playoffs, they're going to bring back those torch game pre-game things. So that's like an extra 45 minutes. So can't wait for that. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, they definitely know how to do a presentation with the Bell Center, like no one, like no other. All right. Well, appreciate everyone listening in. Hopefully our next podcast was with Brendan Dillon of the New Jersey Devils. We'll see how that goes, but we'll play it by ear. And I know we got a lot of Flames content coming up here. Unfortunately, with them being out, so we got I interview with Kevin Rooney and Joel Hanley coming up here very soon. So we're definitely going to get our theme of NHL players back on, now that some of the seasons are done for some of them. And yeah, so appreciate everyone for their support, and keep following along to our social media channels for some giveaways, prizes, and all that other fun stuff. And appreciate the support we get from our community. And thanks for Nick and Phil joining us this evening for our late night pod. All right.